you ready? I'd like to call the March 5th, 2024 regular meeting of the Jefferson Planning Commission to order. First, we'll have roll call.
Warren Oxshire,
Here.
Mike Pittman,
Here.
Britt Copeland,
Here.
Ray Black,
Present.
Jenny Beverly, Lisa Hammock,
Here.
David Ferguson,
Here.
Gene Riddle,
Here.
David Bramer.
Here. We have a quorum, so we'll proceed with our meeting. Everyone had an opportunity first to review the minutes for the regular meeting of January 9th, 2024. If so, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion to approve those.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. On the same evening, on January 9th, we also had our joint meeting with the Board of Zoning Appeals. And if you had an opportunity to review those minutes, they were fairly short. And if so, we can, any discussion, changes, or consider a motion for approval? Have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? All right. We have any, I don't think we have any communications to come for the board, anything commissioners want to report other than what we've listed business wise. The main item that we have, on our agenda for this evening, it has been brought to us by the commissioner's office, was discuss reduction of fines on the Gilstrap property. And Josh, if you want to start, and then we'll kind of bring us up to date a little bit on the history. This has been a long ongoing issue here at the Planning Commission.
I made 4 copies of a couple of them there on Gilstrap's property, and then here's some pictures from today. You want to look at those? On there, the first thing I've got on there is a timesheet, a timeline, kind of showing what's happened out at the property. And back in December 1st, 2017, Jim Deerdorf had sent the first letter to Gilstrap giving him 60 days to resolve the issues at his property. That continued on up until September. The 5th letter was sent September 15th, 2018, where they had went out and assessed the property and said that there was 22 inoperable vehicles, 2 unlicensed campers, along with many piles of trash and tires stored on Gilstrap's property. And then proceeded on. There were several other letters sent. So we went back out in August 2nd of 2021 and confirmed that there was 25 vehicles at that time, innumerable lawnmowers and motorcycles, and piles of trash and tires and junk still on the property. After going out and doing that, IDEM had sent a letter out to him stating that there was tires and trash that were located there March 17th of 2022. And then we went out to do cleanup on his property. We got a court order. Let's see, I don't see what court order was at. We received a court order December 17th, 2019 to clean the property up. And August 23rd, 2022, cleanup started on the property. And we allowed Gilstrap to do some of the cleanup as far as filling dumpsters and whatnot on this property to help save some of the costs on that. On January 20th of 2023, a lien was placed on the property for the expense of the cleanup and fines that were put on the property, which were $25 a day from the time that the court order had started. September 5th, 2023, Gilstrap's property went up for tax sale and did not sell. Pat McGrath had sent a letter to Mr. Gilstrap on January 30th, 2024. I can read that letter if you'd like, or there's a copy there.
Okay, We'll probably let Pat cover that here in a few
Okay.
minutes to follow up, and Mr. Gilstrap's here as well. After we hear from you and Pat, we want to be sure to give him an opportunity to address this as well.
Okay, I think we're looking to whether you want to reduce the fines on this property or not. There is a lien showing what the fines were in that paperwork that I handed out to you. Is there any questions you have for me?
No, I think you pointed out it's been a long running problem. It's been there for over 6, 7 years now and so forth, so.
Okay.
Pat, look, can we turn it over to you and you can bring us up to date on the letter and what commissioners are asking of Plan Commission this evening, if anything?
Sure. So, yeah, I did a letter to Mr. Gilstrap, notifying him that the property had gone up on tax sale and had not sold. I advised him that he needs to be here on March 5th to talk with the Plan Commission. That specifically that what needed to happen was that the past due taxes needed to be paid, costs associated with cleanup needed to be paid, all violations on the property needed to be cleaned up, and that he would need to attend today's meeting with regard to discussing with the Plan Commission about the fines. The fines component in particular is the Plan Commission is who sort of owns the judgment on the fines from the trial court, and therefore the Plan Commission is in the position to determine when those fines are satisfied, which means that the Plan Commission does have some authority to determine whether or not the fines should be reduced and can determine whether there's been satisfaction of at least that component of it. The other components of the judgment, including the cost associated with cleanup, that was directly ordered by the court. I mean, again, it's all part of the same lien, but nonetheless, it was generally, I think, the feeling has been that it's important to at least recoup the costs, if not also to recoup the fines that are associated with this ongoing violation. It outlines, the letter that I sent outlines the history going back to 2017, coming all the way up through 2023. And then I did cite to him Indiana Code 6.1.1-24, which is that in that particular situation, in that statute, if a property does not sell at a regular tax sale, then what happens is a tax certificate is issued in favor of the executive of the county, which is the commissioners. And so the commissioners then can go forward with what's called a commissioner's sale or commissioner's tax sale. The difference there is that the redemption time is a lot shorter on a commissioner's tax sale. And that in addition to that, the commissioners do have the authority to sell the property for less than total amount that is owed against the property. So the commissioners have the authority to reduce the amount. And one of the concerns here is that the amount of the costs for cleanup as well as the fines may exceed what the property can actually sell for. Thus, it didn't sell at tax sale. I notified him that no one in the county government wants to see him lose the property, but unfortunately, this has been going on so long, and that if he's not able to come into compliance, then the commissioners would have to move forward with the sale. One piece of information that I got today is that my understanding is that Mr. Gilstrap did go pay at least the past due taxes. However, that does not include the amounts that were still owed as part of the judgment lien, including the cost of cleanup and fines. And the problem is that while potentially if he had made full payment prior to the tax sale, then he could have attempted to prevent the property from going up on the tax sale. But under the Indiana Code, again, 6.1.1-24-6, when a tract of property goes up for tax sale and is not sold, then the county executive acquires a lien under the section, and the county auditor is required to issue a tax sale certificate to the county dated on the date that it acquired the lien, that is the date of the tax sale. And so once that happens, once the executive has the tax certificate, then the redemption clauses kick in, and in order to redeem the property, a person has to pay not only the past due taxes, but they also have to, according to the statute, that they have to pay the past due taxes plus 10% of what's sold, attorney's fees, costs of any title, all special assessments, any cost of sale and advertising. So there's a list of things. In other words, you have to provide full satisfaction. You can't just pay the taxes. So at this point in time, the county's position would be that the county executive commissioners do hold the tax sale certificate, regardless of whether it's actually been issued by the auditor or not, because it'll be dated as the time of sale. And the next step would be then for the commissioners to essentially do a commissioner's sale. Yeah, really, the question is before the plan commission is whether there's any further discussion about, satisfaction. Before that goes forward, or if there's other thoughts to be had, but that's the general sort of legal background.
So as to where the property stands today, to recap, then as far as the things that you had asked for in the letter, the back property taxes have been paid, but they actually don't affect redemption of the property. It still is transferred because the other things weren't met. The other costs that you'd asked for in the letter as far as the cleanup costs and so forth, those were not paid.
Correct.
And according from my understanding from the zoning inspector, building inspector, the property still is in violation on several different points in its current condition, correct? You'd brought us pictures today on that and so forth, so
Yes.
those things haven't been. But really, the only question the plan commission would have to consider as to whether we would be willing to lower the fines. And then it's still going to be totally the commissioner's decision as to when, if, or how they pursue a commissioner sale of the property. That's not in our hands at all.
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Gilstrap,
Yes, sir.
come on up. Anything you want to tell us on this?
Well, just like I told them from the start, my daughter was 1 year old, and I mean, I've had custody of her ever since, and I couldn't really go outside and take her, and do much cleaning, like I told them to start with, it's gonna take a while, I lived there for like 35 years or longer. And, she's just now 7 years old, and I've had her ever since she was 1, no mom, you know what I mean, but, as far as, cleanup, I've been doing quite a bit of cleaning. I don't know how much more cleaning you want done, but I mean, I've even went down to the creek, out to the center of the creek. I've even been cleaning down in there and cutting trees, dead trees, and I mean, I'm still in the process of cleaning. It's gonna take a while, you know what I mean? But
I think we're probably past that point from what I can see, as far as at least for the plan commission. The only thing that we could decide is if we want to lower the fees, the violation fees, the penalties as such. The other side of it, I was here when we first met with you and so forth, and it has been a constant ongoing situation. We had worked with you for probably a couple of years and before we filed the lawsuit. And because we didn't get any action, it was the same thing, was going to do something, And at those particular times, you weren't yet quite in the
when
position.
this all started, you all told me if I put a privacy fence up, I'd be okay, so I put a privacy fence up and that.
No, we never told you if you put a privacy fence that you'd be okay. We had discussions over that the privacy fence didn't solve the problem. So I don't think there's a lot for us to discuss there unless some of the other board members want to open that line. I mean, I feel the plan commission has worked very hard to try to alleviate the situation without having to go to court initially. And then even after we went to court and it's been turned over to the commissioners on the enforcement side, they have taken step after step trying to allow time to get property cleaned up and so forth before they went on. So the main question before us, I think the fines are approximately 25,000. As to what is the board's thoughts on any desire. I mean, if they drop the fines to 10,000 or 5,000, is it going to make any difference on your ability to be able to?
I mean, I can pay for like the dumpsters like I was supposed to start with. That's what they told me, you know what I mean? But I agreed to that. Then, when I went to pay my taxes last year, it's $30,000.
We have two commissioners here this evening, one on our board. Any input there as to what your desires for us to do on the fine side of it?
I mean, it's been such a long process of trying to get, I don't, we don't want to, I'll jump on both sides of the issue right there. I mean, it's a hard one. I mean,
It's a hard one.
that is a sum of money that's, I don't think a lot of people have sitting around, so I understand it's a hard thing, but at the same time, I mean, we're going on 6 years for sure, but I'm sure it took a little bit of time even to get the letter started
It did.
initially, so we've tried to get it to be cleaned up. If it looked cleaned up, I mean, that would be one thing, but the pictures would say that it's. I don't know, it's-
What's the problem with it now, man?
Josh, you want to comment? You were there and took some pictures and
Pictures kind of tell on herself. It really.
Yeah, that's where I'm playing that right now, around back. I want to get the front clean, mainly what I've done so far. And what's wrong with that picture there? I mean, a guy can't even have something in his own place, or I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, basically, that's what you all, well, I've lived here for a long time, and the place has always been a little bit like that. Y'all act like I've never done nothing. I don't understand. He even had the guy from Seymour come over, and he worked for 3 weeks straight, every day, 7 days a week, hauled and hauled and hauled and hauled. And he didn't finish picking up the trash, so here I am here, see?
well, we're just not here. We've been at this point numerous
I
times.
know, but
over the last-
I had a 1-year-old autistic daughter, and what are you supposed to do? Just, you gonna push this out on the
We've been at
street and
the-
say,
we've
well,
been-
sorry, you
we've-
live with in your car on the street with your daughter.
We've been at this point many
Well,
times
I
in the
know
last 6 years, so I think the main question before us is the board want to give some consideration to reducing the fine amount? And if
I'm not
so,
gonna be mean, I'm just saying, I mean, I'm still cleaning and I'll keep cleaning, because I want to give this to my daughter when I pass on. I'm getting ready to turn 63 years old, and, so I ain't got no intention of my business.
Do you have the ability, if we did lower the fines, to make it, to pay for the dumpsters? I think it's what, 3,000, and there's another 100 and something, and, I mean, like Lauren said, I mean, do you have the ability to do that if we did lower it, and it, or where are you?
Yeah, I can afford to, that's what they said.
I know.
I'll come home from town.
All right,
and
it's
out there.
$3,000 for that, so you can, in the 3,000, almost
I pay
4,000.
my taxes.
I know you did, but do you have the ability to pay the 4,000?
Well, I can pay 3,000. I mean, that's about what I got, you know what I mean, but. I don't know what to do.
Pat, how much money do you think do we have tied up in this? With all your work and
The
what,
attorney's fees were added as part of.
it's in
that's part of
the
it.
3,000,
It's almost $4,000.
so that covers Pat's legal, not your, you're driving out there and all the time that, I mean, I don't even wanna think how many trips you guys probably made out there in the last 6 years. But that's got the 4,000 has that, the fines are just fines, there's nothing,
Fine.
so you believe you can pay the
I
4,000,
can pay the 3,000 right now. I mean, that's about all I got. I mean, that's every dime I got to my name.
and that would be short how much?
I mean, it's.
I don't have
I
that
pay
paper.
1,300 today. There you go.
Is it?
Has Mr. Gilstrap been notified by either this office or the commissioner's office of on a monthly or bi-monthly or whatever basis on how much these fines are and how much they are accumulating?
The fines are no longer accumulated. So now, once the lien was put into place, like there's no additional accumulation of fines.
But, okay. But was,
He received- he
prior
received
to
notice of
this, he was notified of,
I believe I think in December, might have been October of, we've been 21. Maybe August of 21, it looks like. He was notified that it was up to about $16,000.
okay,
And then he received notice of the lien, when the lien was filed. He's had contact with several county officers.
okay.
Asking him.
I have another question. Is it gonna get better?
Oh, yeah. It's getting better. What I've done cleaned up the bunch. I mean, I got stuff drug out right now, is what it looks like that. I mean,
It has improved since we started with the road with that fence. I mean, you got a long way to go. But
I
you
still got
have-
a ways to go.
you
I've lived
have
there for a
made
long, I've lived
some-
there for a long, and see, everything's got hauled off. That's my retirement money. Now, I don't even have that.
Well,
I mean,
the problem is you got neighbors and they're seeing that,
well,
and
I
that's,
understand that.
you know.
That's all I've done all my life, been self-employed. I mean, now I'm just kind of screwed, I mean.
Robert, you have any thoughts?
Well, the fines basically, nobody's out anything, like for the dumpsters and his, so to me, the fines could be a wash. If we did that, would it make a difference going forward?
Oh, yeah.
Say-
I'm not gonna
Say
stop.
we go 90 days out. What are we gonna see in 3 months?
You see him.
I mean, I don't wanna see anybody lose their place. Don't-
Well,
don't
just
get
like,
me-
like I told him to start with, I couldn't leave my daughter in the house. I mean, until she got to 5 or 6 years old, I couldn't, I mean, that's basically when I could actually start doing something. And she's just
So-
now 7, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
If you zero the fines and pay, let's say 25, so it doesn't take all your money, then the rest of that money is put up at the end of 90 days. So that way the county's made whole on the dumpster fees and all this. Plus, it still gives you an option, some kind of move forward without losing everything. That's my.
Are we legally allowed to tell him what we want done and what? I know we want it all clean. But are we allowed to say we want this portion cleaned up and this portion cleaned up in that order? To make, just so we can see greater progress. So it's, to me, it sounds like he's not seeing what we're seeing. You know, that's what I'm getting at, and maybe not, but if
We have, I interrupt, I'm sorry, as far as what we want cleaned up, not cleaned up, we've been through those conversations numerous times over the past 6, 7 years. I'm not wanting to see anyone lose their home either. I understand that's a very hard question, and I am open consideration of reducing the fine significantly, or even to reducing the fines to 0. I am skeptical as to how much of it's actually going to solve this problem on the property being cleaned up, because I've sat here numerous times over the years and been assured that the property was going to be cleaned up, or this was going to be done, and it never has happened. It comes back and there's other excuses and so forth. But it's difficult to know where to go. I do agree there has been significant improvement made in the property. It's what has been there in the past and so forth. I still see new stuff come in. You know, that was the problem we had all along. We weren't just looking at the fact that there wasn't less junk. There was more junk that wasn't allowed to be there that came in the meantime on the number of vehicles and so forth. And so I don't know, what are thoughts? Does the board want to entertain a motion to waive the fine altogether?
I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
Now, some discussion before we do this. Once we make that decision, this is still going to be left in the hands of the commissioners of deciding as to where they stand on collecting the rest of the fees that are owed and where they stand on the property being finished and cleaned up, so forth. So it does not necessarily stop a commissioner's sale of the property. Pat, you have any thoughts for?
No, I mean, it's pretty much at your discretion. Like I mean, you have discretion over the amount of the judgment, and commissioners have discretion over how to move forward on the sale if they decide to do so. So that's where things are.
What happens if we waive the fines, he pays to 31.57 and all that, and nothing else is done? Where does it go from there? Does it start back to nothing, or do we keep, depending on what the commissioners decide, or where does that go if he doesn't keep improving?
Well,
Or can the commissioners put stipulations that
they
like
probably
Bob
can't put
is?
stipulations, but what I will say is that the court order that was originally issued has a continuous enforcement provision to it. So he's technically still under that court order, that there's a case that we could go back to for court relief if we needed to. Now, we've had a change in the zoning ordinance since then, and so there would have to be some shifts in the way that the new issues are presented, but I mean, the court has already ordered that he continue to abide by Jefferson County zoning. I mean, it would almost certainly be going back to the court, but it's not split in one, it'd be the same case.
So Dave, what was your thought, like, pick an area, like we'll just say, to the left of the garage, that's the target area, clean it up and then. So we can see progress.
I'm gonna clean it all up. I mean, right now I do got stuff kind of drug out where I'm trying to make room inside and, you know what I mean? It's a long process, you know what I'm saying?
Well, for him to say that he doesn't see the problem,
No, I don't see the problem, but I'm just.
well, that's
saying.
not what you said earlier. And to me, it might need what the worst be taken care of first, and we say what the worst is. And then that worst gets taken care, and this is up to the commissioners, you know. But if they do want to do that and they say, all right, we want this cleaned up within 30 days, then you know what needs to be done. You have to
That's
follow.
just why the driveway's cleaned out, 'cause I knew everybody, you know what I'm saying? I know it had to look good from the road, the first thing, you know what I'm saying?
I just don't want anybody to lose property, but I don't want to kick the can down the road like Warren's kind of thinking we might be doing too.
If we waive the fine this evening and the property is not cleaned up, the commissioners under the order can take further action. They have the authority to abate the violations. Currently, they could go in, clean property up and so forth. At some point then, if the property goes up for tax sale, does the dollars that come in, not tax sale, commissioner sale, do the total dollars that come in go to the county? Or if they're in excess of the amount of the cleanup fees and so forth, things that haven't been paid, does that excess go back to Mr. Gilstrap?
Oh, any excess is returned to the property.
What's what?
Any excess is returned to the property, regardless of whether it's tax sale.
So when we lower the fines, that makes that possibility much more higher, that the value of the property can't be used anymore to pay the fines if he failed to do what he said he was going to do.
I'm sorry.
Well, right now, if the property were to sell commissioner sale.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it would sell for, the fines would have to be met, all the cleanup costs would have to be met and so forth before any excess went to Mr. Gilstrap. Once we lower the fines, any excess above the cleanup costs and the other expenses, that will go to Mr.
Correct.
Gilstrap.
Yes.
Okay, as long as everyone understands that. So it's, and once we lower them, they're done.
Yes, because I mean, essentially what's gonna be happening, I mean. to
We
lower
can't
it, it's set
put them back
statutes.
on, correct? Okay. Any other further thoughts from anyone? All right, all those in favor of waiving the fines? Any opposed? Your fines have been waived. Rest to the side of it, though, you're still dealing with getting the property cleaned up.
I'll get cleaned up.
It doesn't necessarily mean that,
I've done a lot. I know it don't look like it, but I really have. I mean,
it doesn't necessarily mean that you have avoided a commissioner sale on the property.
I'll get cleaned up.
That
I
part
want to
you
get cleaned
need
up
to work
for
with.
anyway, like I say. I
You've
don't.
got weather in your favor coming in spring,
Well, that's what I
so.
say, but you had COVID
So,
and bad weather, it just seemed like every time it's
All right.
raining or, you know, something all the time, you know, I mean, it just ain't like it's just been 6 years straight, good weather, you know what I'm saying, I mean,
The calendar is your friend right now.
yeah.
I hope you can do that. Everything logically tells me that a year from now, the commissioners are gonna be dealing with the exact
No,
same
they
problem.
won't. I guarantee they won't.
All right, appreciate you coming in this evening.
Thank you. So what I need to do then as far as,
Need to talk with Pat or need to go ahead and get the other costs of the cleanup paid and so forth that are on there. And you need to talk with commissioners as to, that's totally their decision as to whether they want to accept 3,000 now or what their conditions would be as to whether or not they want to move forward with a commissioner sale.
I need
That's,
to talk to the commissioner.
you need to talk to the commissioners on that. I think it's coming up on your agenda. Is it this Thursday? Commissioners have a meeting this Thursday to discuss it. And so they have to come to a decision there as to how they want to handle that portion with you. Because at this time, you know, for all practical purposes, the county owns your property. It's theirs. Correct? Am I stating that
Yes,
from what I heard this evening?
the
That's
tax
correct.
certificate is to be issued in favor of the commissioners.
Yes.
So what's that mean as far as what I gotta do to have control of my property? yeah?
You need to talk to the commissioners as to
Okay.
what they're
So I
willing
need
to
to come down
accept.
here Thursday, or they talk about it first, or I mean,
You want.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to we don't need to keep putting it off. I mean, yeah, so, yeah, Thursday, but the meeting's up at the,
College
no, the EMA,
over by the.
Troy.
Jody.
Yeah.
No, I don't know where it's at. I've been to college. I don't know.
So,
Where Fat Boys Body Shop used to be the burnt on.
The place back, set back off the road.
yeah,
It's what's it called? This, or driving thing or something says on the sign out there. That's what you're talking about though.
it's the Troy Morgan
Troy Morgan.
Public Safety Center, but that used to be Work One, so.
Oh, yeah, worth one, yeah.
Yeah,
Back towards your place, just a little ways from where the railroad crossing crosses by the old Barber Grocery and so forth. Or if you're coming from your place, when you pass the state hospital
Yeah, I
entrance
know
on
what
your
you're
right,
talking about.
it'll be on up there on the left.
Yeah.
Sits there near,
That's just back off the road. a little
sits
bit.
just a little ways off the road. If you get to the
Right
railroad,
right
if you
before
get to the
right
railroad
before the
track,
body
you,
place.
you've
Right.
missed it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what time is that meeting?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Right now, it's saying, $3,339 now.
But I think I can get most of that, maybe all of it. I just have to see what I can
I
grab.
think it would help the commissioners if you could get on.
All right. Do we have any other business for the planning commission this evening?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
If
I
not,
will get cleaned up, though, I promise.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. First, second,
Second.
all in favor?
All right.